It's been a while. First video of 2021, I guess. Oh my gosh, I really need to upload more. But, I mean, I've finally worked up the courage to do it again, and I'm doing a Minecraft tutorial. Thaumcraft 6, because I like the mod, and there is a serious lack of tutorials on it. And just so you can't judge my Minecraft skin, I am him. Anyways, let's start, I suppose. So before you can start with Thaumcraft 6, you need to have done some stuff. You need a basic set of tools, really, so I'm just gonna go over here, don't mind me. Just, Yep. So now that we have our things, we just need a house. And isn't this just oddly convenient? Frickin' serious? Please ignore the inexplicable cut in the footage. The printer made a noise. So, yeah, this'll work for the house. Yep. Yep, this is a house. This is the house now. Just go ahead and furnish things up a little bit. And that's the house. So first things first, for actually getting started with Thaumcraft 6, you need to go mining a little bit. Now you've probably encountered some of what we're gonna need a fair bit before you've gotten these tools, and you might have even mined one. So here, we've got crystals. Get out of here, sandstone. We have these V crystals. You'll see this this message in the chat. Ignore all that. You'll see this message in the chat up here. Something something crystal something go to sleep. And you're going to want a lot of these. So any of these that you come across, mine every single one if you can. There should be 6 different types. We have these green ones, these black ones. We have the orange ones here, the blue ones, the yellow ones, and the white ones. You're also going to need some other basic minerals, such as iron. You should already have a fair amount of that, though, considering, you know, you need to have some, you know, stuff. That, and also Thaumcraft adds an overworld quartz ore, which you will need a little bit of for the tutorial. So go ahead and grab some of that. Now once you've gone ahead and finished mining everything that you'll need, you're going to want to go back home and, of course, you know, smelt your iron. Who wouldn't? And then all 6 of these crystals you will need for later, so, I don't know, put them in a chest or something. And I will try to henceforth refer to the crystals by their V rather than their color. I'll explain more about V later. But what you really need to know right now is that you need to sleep. That's what this "maybe some rest will inspire you" means, so I'll just... Wow, it's nighttime, now we can sleep. And once you wake up, you will have another message in the chat, and a book, written by you. Somehow. And once you read it, you can pause the video and read for yourself if you would like, or you might already have the book yourself and read along in-game. But what you really need to know is you need a book, no, this is a book. You need a bowl, flint, and a redstone along with all this. So, allow me to just head over to the conveniently placed desert temple and see what we have. Wow, how convenient. Redstone. Iron and gold. bowl, flint, and more redstone. So, once you have all the things that you need from the inexplicable desert temple, throw everything in here for the time being. All you need right now is the bowl, the flint, and for this episode you'll need three of the redstone and 3 of the crystals. 3 of 3 different types. So you can go ahead and you can just go ahead and pick 3 of whatever you have the most of. Then you mix all 6 of these together in a crafting table. You'll keep the flint and the bowl, and you get this here, Salus Mundus. You will need quite a bit of this throughout the mod, and the first thing you have to do with it is right-click on a bookshelf. You'll go ahead and throw it on the bookshelf. It'll make some sparkly, sparkly noises, and then a poof. And here you have your Thaumonomicon. This is where you will access most of the mod's things, and it has this big ol' menu in the space. And all these different little nodes, per se, each one has some different instructions. There's a lot of lore in all these. You can pause on any given page if you want to read it, but right now, all we have to do is throw some Salus Mundus onto a crafting table, not workbench. It's not a workbench yet. I'll just go ahead and make a spare. Then we throw our Salus Mundus on it. Does the sparkly sparkly again. And now we have our arcane workbench. The UI looks weird. It has this. This is how much V is available in the aura. The aura is just... Well, you know, there are chunks in Minecraft. Each chunk has its own amount of V. V is essentially magic of the world. And the V is something you use to craft, to do other various magic things. But all you really need to know is V is pretty darn important, and you want to have a lot. You can go ahead and click this here complete button, and it'll move on to another step of this research node, which will have you making the thermometer. This is a very important thing that you'll want to have more than one of. I did not stock enough gold for this tutorial. So once you have your gold, you'll need some glass panes to actually make your thermometer. So I'll just grab some of the sand from the inexplicable nearby desert and cook that into some of these. This is gonna take a while. I don't like waiting for things to smelt. Please don't copyright me. I don't know if this is a song beat that I am singing to. Why am I worried about getting copyrighted? I have, like, not even 20 subscribers yet. Now that our glass is done, we can go ahead and turn this into the glass panes. And we cannot craft the thermometer in our standard crafting table. No, that would just be too simple. We need to do it in the arcane workbench. And of course, this still isn't enough. We have these 6 slots around our crafting grid. This is where all 6 of these kinds of crystals come in. Because you can't make the thermometer until you have at least one of all 6. It'll cost 20 V and 1 of each crystal to make your thermometer. It's a fancy little hexagon you hold up in front of your face, and you use it to scan things around the world, such as the sand here. We've learned something new. The grass, the dirt, any sort of item or block in the world can be scanned, and you will most likely learn something new if you haven't already scanned it already. Pretty much anything can be scanned, and everything should be scanned. If something isn't scanned, scan it. You can even scan animals, like this cow here. Then once you've gotten at least Once you've seen one book pop up... Oh, that's something else. Scanning the items in your chests can give you a lot of things. Once you have enough observations in fundamentals, which is signified by that book you just saw go into that book in the bottom right. Once you have enough of those, you can go back to your Thaumonomicon and complete the first steps research. You now have access to Arcane Stone and Discovering Alchemy. Something else very important here, types of knowledge and your knowledge totals. We've got plenty of observations and everything from scanning the chest. And over here we have theory crafting, another very important thing for the mod, because certain research in the Thaumonomicon will require theories on certain things. And to make the research table, we need a set of scribing tools made from clay and glass. Oh, that's going to be fun to smelt. And a table made from wood. Any kind of wood will do. So just pardon me for a moment while I go ahead and get some fresh oak wood from this here tree. And scan it in the process. Can't forget about the feathers are right with. So to make the table itself, just wood won't work. You would probably be able to see that already if you're using JEI or just ignored my instruction and clicked on this here, the wood table. You can see it needs 3 slabs, 2 planks. That is something else. You don't need to have just enough items or any other kind of item browser installed. You can just use the Thaumonomicon. It provides the recipes itself, but it is very useful if you have just enough items or something similar. So we can make our wood into slabs here, and then make our table. We now have a wood table. Put this in the corner for now. And we can take our glass over here and make some glass files. And we can take our feather, glass files, and oh, of course, I've forgotten the ink sac. Don't mind me while I just... Thank you. Now we can take our ink sac, file, and feather to get our scribing tools. It will lose durability over time, but this can be repaired by putting it in a crafting grid with an ink sac. And to make our wooden table into our research table, we simply just right-click with the scribing tools, and there it is. We can now create theories with ink, paper, and ideas. We don't need to do any theory crafting yet, so I'll go over it in the Alchemy episode when we will actually need to be using this, and of course don't forget to scan everything. Another very important thing here is Celestial Observation, found right beneath Theory Crafting. It takes an observation in Fundamentals, Artifice, and Oromancy. If you've gotten a fair amount of items, which you should have by this point, it should be pretty easy to have all these observations here. And then you can use your thermometer with paper and scribing tools in your inventory to scan the sky and get very, very powerful research in the research table. So then there are all of these other 5 categories that you need to unlock. The first of them being Alchemy. All you need is an observation in Alchemy and an observation in Fundamentals. Easy. Just one of each. Then you need a Crucible, which is where our last piece of Salus Mundus comes in. You just take 7 pieces of iron here. Make yourself a nice good old cauldron. Then you throw your Salus Mundus on it. Oh, that's the floor. Put your Salus Mundus on it. Sparkle, sparkle, ploof. Now you have a Crucible. This will need to be put over fire, so maybe don't have it in your wooden house. But now you've completed the alchemy part, and you can now make this here, Night Ore. You take glowstone and throw it in with Ignis, Lux, and Potentia, and it acts like a torch, but it doesn't need to be put on anything. It can also work as a heat source for your crucible. You probably don't know... We won't go over some of this more advanced alchemy stuff until we're further into the tutorial series. But all you need to know is that's one of the more simple recipes to make. Now, before we can do Artifice, we need to complete Alchemical Metallurgy in the Alchemy tab, so ooh, here's a little sneak peek of what's to come. You just need to click on this tab here, and it'll unlock a bunch of the other sections of alchemy. We'll be going over Alimentum and Hedge Alchemy in the next episode. But what we need now is Alchemical Metallurgy, and the Alchemical Brass Ingot, which needs 5 Instrumentum. This can be found in pretty much any tool you may have. So, like, you take your shovel, or axe, or pickaxe. Swords don't have it, they have a different kind of essentia called a Versio. But for now, all you need is the Instrumentum. Shovels have the least other essentia, which will be very important later. And by later, I mean really soon. So I'll just go ahead and see if a torch will work for a light source, and then we'll be on with sleeping. Oh, Lord. So to start doing anything with your crucible, you'll need to have a heat source underneath it. I'm going to see if a torch will work, because I haven't prepared anything for getting fire here. And you need to have water inside. If the water starts boiling, we'll see if the torch is sufficient. No, of course it isn't. Why would it be? So we'll just need some flint and steel for the time being. I don't think I've got any other flint around. Pardon me for a moment while I go to the mines. Back from the mines with another piece of flint. And using our second to last piece of iron to make this here flint and steel, and I don't have anything that's going to keep it lit permanently. Wow, a piece of netherrack. Ignore the chat, please. I was underprepared for this. So now with our adequate heating underneath, we should see the water start to boil. There we have the bubbles. And to make a piece of alchemical brass, it is fairly simple. All you need to do is toss in something containing instrumentum, and then toss in an iron ingot. Before you do, you should watch the next part of the tutorial to understand what happens with excess material left within the cauldron. I smelted another piece of iron off camera so that I can use up as much of the instrumentum in the shovel as possible. So here's how we do alchemy. We either drop or right-click the shovel into the cauldron, and then we do the same with our iron ingots, and now we have our alchemical brass. Now to get rid of any left essentia in the cauldron, we have to shift right-click, and then these purple puffs will come out. This is why I've asked you to wait. That is flux, essentially an anti-V. V, of course, being the good magic around us. When there's too much flux, very bad things will happen. We'll be going over that later when we're unlocking the Eldritch tab in Thaumonomicon, but for now, we can just complete our first stage of alchemical metallurgy and unlock the recipe for thaumium, which we do not yet need, but is much more difficult to get, requiring 2 different kinds of essentia, including one that is uncommon. But for now, our alchemical brass will suffice, and we can now unlock Artifice as well. So starting over on the left with Oromancy, we need to visit the lowest depths of the world and visit the highest peaks that we can find. These just mean you need to be above and below a certain Y level. Close to bedrock and somewhere above Y100. So I'll just... This is for the sake of the tutorial, don't judge me. You'll see that purple message appear on the bottom of your screen once you've been up there for long enough. And then you need to go down. Again, don't judge me, I'm supposed to be teaching you, not giving you a perfect example. You'll once again see another purple message appear above your hotbar, and then you will be good to go for the first stage of Artifice. Hit the complete button, and now we need two brand new items here. A V resonator and a caster's gauntlet. The V resonator needs a piece of nether quartz from earlier, and an iron plate. Very simple recipe, just some iron in the crafting table, across gets you some iron plates. And the caster's gauntlet will need another thermometer, some leather, iron, and the V resonator that we're about to make. So pardon me while I do a quick crafting montage. Now I need the leather for the caster's gauntlet. Come here, cow. And I now realize I need more iron to finish the recipe. I don't like it down here. And then we have our caster's gauntlet. Won't be using this right now, but it is a very, very fun item later on, so I'll just go ahead and throw this in the chest with everything else that is air. And now we can finish discovering out. I cannot speak. We can now finish discovering Oromancy. And now we can move on here to Infusion. So we have the requirement of an observation in Arcane Infusion, and knowing of Aurum and Praecantatio. Or Praecantatio. I don't know, I just call it Praecantatio. You can find both of these in your Caster's Gauntlet if you haven't found them in anything else already, alongside Census, that little owl there, we'll need for later. So once you have those, which should be pretty easy, you can unlock Infusion. And third, Artifice. You can find, if you don't have Machina already, you can find it in something as simple as a lever, and the Census you should have from the Caster's Gauntlet, and the Observation and Artifice you should also theoretically have from the lever. Once you've unlocked all three of these, you can now discover Golemancy, which you will need to have an Observation in Golemancy, an Observation in Fundamentals, and to have studied an animated construct. Now these little flasks here, with the little purple goo coming out of them, those tend to change depending on what they require of you. And in this case, it wants you to study a golem. Certain modded golems won't work, but the vanilla ones sure will. So no matter if snow or iron, whatever you have available, you can just go ahead and scan a golem. Once you've scanned your new friend, you can complete Golemancy, and finish everything that is currently available to you in Fundamentals tab. Now there is much more here than what we see now, including the Eldritch tab, several mobs that can be scanned, and things regarding flux. But those only appear once certain criteria have been met, such as scanning the mob or having a certain amount of flux nearby. And all of these other tabs will have their own videos coming soon. I just really wanted to get something out so that the few people that watch me know I'm not dead. I know there's some of you. Not many, but there's some of you. And some people that might be watching this for the actual needing to know how to do Thaumcraft. So the next video will be doing more with alchemy over there. And learning how to make things like the thaumium, and soap. Probably. I don't remember the criteria for unlocking soap. I'm just gonna end the video now.